Hey everyone! Before we get started today, I just want to take a second to go over some safety things. We're going to be talking a lot about ice today and how people used to cut ice in the past. Things are different now. Please be careful. Do not go out on the ice or ponds. It's not very safe and we don't want anything bad to happen to you. So even though we're talking about what people did in the past with ice cutting, please stay off of the ponds, rivers, and streams and ice in your homes. Thank you. Hey everybody! Thank you so much for joining me today for the first of our series of crop videos hosted by Hanford Mills. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Luke and I am the education coordinator at Hanford Mills, and I do a lot of crop programs. So for those of you in first grade I might have met last year in the fall or early in the spring. And those of you in kindergarten, I hope to meet next year when we're all back into school. So, what is Hanford Mills? Hanford Mills is a group of old buildings in East Meredith, which is about 10 miles from Oneonta, and we use our buildings to tell stories. Some of our buildings are very, very old. We're a museum. Some of these buildings are almost 200 years old. So we're able to tell 200 years worth of stories. We can talk about nature, we can talk about history, we can talk about cool technology, and we're able to do that through our buildings and objects or items on our site and where the buildings are. So what we're going to talk about today is ice and ice houses. And the cool thing about ice is that people have always needed it, but we haven't always had places to store it or to make it. In the past, especially, we needed to wait until it was really, really cold, freezing wintertime, in order to get ice. So what we're going to talk about today is how we used to get that ice and how we used to store it in something called ice houses. So the first thing that we're going to do together is we're going to make these ice houses. And we're going to take a couple of breaks in between so we know where to stop and also to get our materials ready. And then after we make our ice houses, we're going to make some snowflakes for the holidays and for the cold season coming up. And we'll be able to actually do an experiment with our ice house too. So stand by and let's get ready to do our first activity together. Alrighty everybody, what I did just to get us ready for our ice house was I cut out almost all the pieces. I'll cut off this last one while we're talking. And what you're going to do is take out the two sheets that look like this, so they're kind of that yellowish beige color, and cut out only on this dark line here. So these ones have these dashed lines. Don't cut those out. Only cut the dark lines out, because we're going to use those to help us fold our ice house in a minute. And again, ice houses are used to keep ice nice and cold, especially in the times before there was refrigerators or freezers. So now that we've got all of our pieces cut out, we're going to go ahead and start making our ice house. So the first thing you're going to do is take these two pieces that say wall on them, these two pieces that say wall, and you're going to fold these dashed lines like this. 1, 2. And do the same thing with this side. Because what these are going to do, these are going to help us put our ice house together. Like that. The next thing you're going to do is we're going to put glue with a glue stick, or glue, whichever one your crop provided for you. And then we're going to do this. 1, 2, 1, and 2. Awesome. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put these together. So we are going to put them so they're matching the bottom pieces here. So put the smaller walls like that, and a smaller wall like that, and then a smaller wall like that. And there's going to be gaps up top like this. And then what we're going to do is, this is going to be the cool part, like that, like that, So we have our ice house. It's going to take a second to dry, so this isn't perfectly sturdy, but for the video it should be fine. So we have the body of our ice house like this, and then we have our roof like that. So what we're going to do now is quick break, quick transition, and I'll show you how we do our experiment. Okay, so for this part, the actual experiment, what we need to do now is take out our 2 cups from our kits and very carefully unfold them, or rather unpackage them so that they're nice and cuppy. And what we're going to do is put 2 ice cubes in, 1 in each. So we've got an ice cube in each. And what we're going to do is, since this is our first activity, we're going to test this. What we're going to do is, unfortunately, where I am right now, it's a little bit cloudy. But where you are, if you've got a big bright light or if it's sunny, this will work great. So what I'd like you folks to do is take 1 cup and put it in your ice house and make sure that the cover's on it. And the other one we're going to leave out. So we're going to leave both of these out so that either the sun or a big bright light is shining directly on them, and leave them out for about 20 minutes to a half hour. And we're going to see what happens. We're going to see if our ice house helps with keeping some of that sun from reaching the ice and helping it not to melt, which I think it will do. So while this experiment's going, it's going to take about a half hour, so we're not going to film the whole thing. But when it's done, we'd love to hear back from you to hear how it turned out. If you want to shoot us a message on Facebook, or if you want to tell your crop coordinators to tell us, however you want to reach out to us, we'd love to hear the results of your experiment. So while these are being experiments, while they're sitting in the sun or under that hot light, we're going to move on to our next activity. For my friends in K1 and 2-3, we're going to be making snowflakes, and for my 4-5 friends, we're going to be doing mini zines. My first grade friends probably already know this, but my friends going into kindergarten, you're going to learn about snowflakes this year, and they're part of something called the water cycle. The water cycle is how water moves around the world. So, possibly the water that you have in your glass right now could have been somewhere in the ocean. It could have been in a lake far, far away. And the water cycle is how water moves around. So first it'll evaporate or go up into the sky, where it forms clouds, called condensation. And then how it gets to the ground is something called precipitation. And that's rain or snow or sleet or hail, however that water, whether it's frozen or liquid, like the water that you drink, comes to the surface. So we're going to be making our own unique snowflakes today. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold our piece of paper. I already have a couple of guiding lines on here, just because I've practiced a couple of times. So what we're going to do first is we're going to fold it this way. So take the long way and fold it in half. Like that. And then we're going to fold it once more. Like that. So what we're going to draw is we are going to draw in, pretending that we're drawing only a quarter or a corner of our snowflake. So it's going to be right here where there's a fold edge right here and a fold edge on the bottom. We don't want the open edges because if we cut there, it'll fall apart. So I'm going to start my snowflake kind of simple. I think I'm going to make half a circle and build it from there. So we've got kind of there, and what do I want? I would like to see some cool, large, kind of like ice pieces on my snowflake. So I'm going to draw a big spike right here. And then maybe here a couple of smaller, or even kind of like this. And then a couple of pieces maybe out like a diamond shape right here out of the middle. Another diamond shape out of that middle. And maybe one more big spike on each corner. Like that. Okay, so probably doesn't look like much like a snowflake right now, right? Well, the cool thing is, when we cut it, it will look like a snowflake. So we're going to start by cutting out the lines, very carefully cutting out our lines. Depending on how your snowflake looks, how simple it is or how complicated it is, it might take a little while to cut it. But that's okay. takes snowflakes a while to form up in the sky too, so it's okay. And the cool thing about this is we're sending you folks some paper, but you can do this if you have at home. If you want to make more, you can do this with lined paper. Computer paper works really well, but if you want to use lined paper, that works good too. And you can color these if you want to too. I know most snowflakes we think of are blue or white, but you know, this is your snowflake. Make whatever color you want. All right, we're almost there. Awesome. Okay, so I've got the big parts off, and I'm going to cut off a couple of these parts, which are details, just to make it look extra snowflakey. Oops. And then I'll cut this one too. Looks like I just missed one spot up top here. You can see I've still got a little half circle there. So cut this nice and gentle. All right. Doesn't look like much like a snowflake now, right? Well, if we gently open it, we have our own snowflakes. So the neat thing about this is, no matter how you do this, odds are your snowflake is going to be unique, which is really cool because in real life, all snowflakes are unique. So these are great to hang around the holidays as it gets colder out. Even around Thanksgiving time, they'll be fun. And you can make as many as you want, as many designs as you want. You don't have to do the way I designed mine. I just kind of wanted mine to look kind of spiky.